let me, from my behalf, from the behalf of the government, welcome you to this very important conference and exhibition, which is becoming an institution in Cyprus, as I understand. Allow me to thank the organizers, the Successful Business magazine, for their initiative, but also the supporters and the sponsors of this event, which is the Cyprus Chamber of Commerce, the Cyprus International Business Association, and the Association of Russian Business in Cyprus, whom I consider to be valued partners of the government. Our aim is common, and that's why we work together with them so hard in the past 3.5 years to succeed to escape the crisis. So, ladies and gentlemen, I recall attending conferences back 3.5 years ago, during the time that the unprecedented crisis shook the foundations of the Cypriot economy. And at that message, at that time, the message I was trying to deliver, the message all the ministers and all the government was trying to deliver, was to pass the determination of the government, of the Cypriot business community, of the Cypriot people in general, to restore the soundness and the credibility of the Cypriot economy. And 3.5 years, I'm standing before you, saying that Cyprus has already been through a phase of economic transformation. In the past 3.5 years, we worked hard to consolidate our public finances. We have been able to completely eliminate the deficit. Cyprus for years was running a continuous year-by-year deficit ranging from 5 to 7% per year. We have completely eliminated that deficit, and we are actually running a good primary surplus. Having focused on the expenditure side, mainly through the decrease of the wage bill 21%, the consolidation of the welfare spending, and other savings, we succeeded to reach this balanced budget without raising a single tax, and that's without eroding our competitiveness. Maintaining the attractiveness of our tax regime was a conscious decision. It was a conscious decision which was transposed into a very specific policy on public finances, the success of which has recently allowed us to even submit proposals for further targeted tax reductions, business-friendly tax reductions. Let me also refer to the banking sector, which was at the heart of the crisis back in 2013. The banking sector is now completely reformed, smaller but better capitalized, better managed, and under the direct supervision of the European Central Bank, something which adds confidence and credibility to the banking system. The overall solvency ratio currently exceeds 16%, while the very famous emergency liquidity assistance, the famous ELA, has almost been eliminated. It has been decreased by 90% from 11.5 billion to 1.5 billion, which is an amazing, although it doesn't hit the news. And not hitting the news is good. The NPLs are also on a downward path, and they are currently 4 billion less than they used to be last year, something like that. Focusing on the public finances and the financial sector reform was not, however, the only important policies undertaken in the past years. We also had to focus on improving the conditions in the real economy, in proceeding with market-oriented reforms to increase our competitiveness. They have not all been completed, but important steps have been taken. That's why I have been promoting the much-needed structural reform, and we shall continue to do so in order to ensure that our public institutions and procedures become more business-friendly, leaner, less costly, and more efficient. It is in this context that we initiated an ambitious structural reform program, which upon its completion will totally transform Cyprus. A structural reform program which includes a wide-ranging civil service reform, including a reform of the wage bill of the civil servants, the privatization of the port, an institutional reform, including the establishment of 3 major deputy ministries directly attached to the presidency and only accountable to the President of the Republic for growth and investments, tourism and shipping. A wide-ranging tourist sector reform, including a new comprehensive tourist strategy, which, if implemented, will lead to doubling of the real revenue from the tourism industry by the year 2030. A new funds policy framework, including legislative acts, which will further enhance the Cyprus funds frameworks. And I'm glad that you have together with us today Mr. Angelos Grigoriadis, the head of CIFA, Cyprus, the Funds Association, with whom we worked very closely in the past couple of years to try to create this framework. An e-government reform and efforts to tackle bureaucracy, a local government reform. Challenges, yes, remain high, and many of these reforms have not been completed. They could not have been completed with just a framework of 2 or 3 years. But we are very glad to see our efforts bearing fruit, and Cyprus was included last year in the top 10 performers of the competitiveness indicators of the World Bank. At the same time, we are promoting big projects that have never been promoted before, such as the completion of the integrated casino resort, the creation of marinas, other investments in the tourist and commercial sector, and we believe that soon we will be ready to attract foreign investors for developing the Troodos area. In short, we want investments, and every policy we followed until now was to restore the investors' confidence, because for us, it is investments that create jobs, it is investments that create high incomes. That's why we saw the crisis as an opportunity. We have not shied away from the problems, but instead we have chosen to move on all fronts. Results, as I said, have been positive so far, with the real economy rebounding strongly, growing 1.6% in 2015. We are expecting to grow this year by 3%, which is well above the EU average. The unemployment rate is still high, but it's about 4 to 5% less than it was in 2013 when it reached its peak, and it's even lower than in 2012, which was the pre-crisis period. Ladies and gentlemen, the Cyprus of today is not the Cyprus of yesterday, and Cyprus of tomorrow will be even better than Cyprus of today. The transformation is ongoing. Nevertheless, Cyprus has and will always be a small, flexible economy with proven resilience and adaptability. And this is particularly important for all investors, all important businesses, all services. Cyprus is and will always be a common law country with the EU and the Eurozone, with a stable and attractive tax regime, with world-class supporting services, be it legal or accounting, with a strategic location, and with quality of life and safety for professionals to invest, work and prosper. These are our country's comparative advantages, and they are here to stay. But those comparative advantages will only be enhanced if the ongoing negotiations for the solution of the Cyprus problem are successfully concluded. And I'm just not talking about the benefits of the exploitation of our hydrocarbons. We know that the reserves are there. We do know that they are important, and you all know how important are the geopolitical factors for the optimal exploitation of any resources of any economic activity. I'm talking about the economic benefits and the investment opportunities that will arise by applying the 4 basic freedoms in the whole of the island, but also the prospects of Cyprus in a region where markets like Turkey, Israel, Cyprus, and Greece cooperate and complement each other in a mutually beneficial way through trade. The prospects for shipping, for tourism, for energy, you name it. Studies do suggest that a solution would boost the GDP by several percentage points, but they're just stating the obvious. I do not belong to the category of people or politicians who like to express either optimism or pessimism about the future. But I'm just stating that the prospect for reunification is there, and the prospect is real. There is a very serious negotiation ongoing, in the context of which significant progress has been made. There are big and credible international institutions like the IMF and the World Bank working with us, facilitating the effort through technical analysis about the economic aspects of the solution. Yes, there are obstacles, but I assure you that the President Anastasiadis has both the vision and the determination to exhaust all possibilities for reaching a viable solution to the Cyprus problem. Ladies and gentlemen, let me conclude by saying that Cyprus is a business-friendly jurisdiction. We are operating with transparency and restored reputation. We are a credible member of the European Union and the Eurozone, and as such, Cyprus can indeed act as a gateway also of the Russian or any other business community. And with the Russian business community, we have had close ties. We have ties with Russia also in the political sphere, and we are only strengthening those ties in every respect. So you are all welcome to work with us in Cyprus. Thank you for your attention.
Okay.